71-mile-per-hour winds reported at Gulf Coast State College. 71, let me say that again, 71-mile-per-hour winds reported at Gulf Coast State College from this. So this is that wind. It's moving ashore now. I can hear it over my head. It's roaring. 71-mile-per-hour winds will do damage.
We're going to be talking about ELSA, and no, there will be no Frozen themes to this.
I always like to equate tropical systems are a pinball and a massive game, and we're trying to predict about 12 moves from now.
So thankfully, we don't have anything ELSA to do about the tropics. Where's my little badumch?
This is how it should time out tomorrow. As we get to 7 a.m., there's the line of storms working through Mobile, getting ready to move into Pensacola. By the time we get to about 9-10 a.m., they should be moving into and through Western Bay County. What's concerning here is you see these little bows that are developing in the line, or at least depicted in the line. That's where wind could be backing those thunderstorms and push down to the surface.
We have two areas of rotation here, one right over West Bay, one just offshore around Whitley Beach, moving toward Back Beach. That's going to be right there going across toward the Hathaway Bridge. We have new tornado warning. This is, again, for this intense line of storms. There are several areas of rotation on this line of wind. Basically is what we're talking about, and any of these areas of rotation could be producing a tornado, but they're definitely producing some very strong wind gusts. So again, if you live anywhere 388, if you live State Highway 77 back through Lynn Haven down to Highland Park, Bayview, the west end of Panama City, downtown Panama City, back towards Gulf Coast State College, get into your shelter now.
Some of the most dangerous rip currents in the world happen right here in Panama City Beach. So before you go and enjoy the beautiful beaches, you should know rip current safety, and that starts right at the beach access with a safety sign. We're going to go over how to spot them, what to do if you see someone in a rip current, and all of the information that could save your life and potentially somebody else's. Want to know what flag is flying? Look at the pole. Whatever flag is up, that corresponds to the flags on the sign. Also, knowing where the closest lifeguard is could save a life. Lifeguards rescue tens of thousands of people from rip currents in the U.S. every year. It is estimated that 100 people are killed by rip currents annually. For our third edition of Christmas across the Panhandle, we're trying to put you in the holiday spirit, and what better way to do that than show off an incredible display. And not only do we have that tonight, but we also have maybe a little bit of music to go along with it. We might highlight that throughout the show as well. And we're going to talk some weather. We've got a dense fog advisory in effect overnight tonight.
With this line, a little kink right there. I'm going to go back to base velocities and look at it. It looks like possible tornado there. Let's zoom in. I think that looks right about over West Bay at this point in time. Could be a tornado just to the south of West Bay. So this is State Highway 79, the West Bay Elementary right there, crossing over the bridge, going back over toward 388, toward the gas station that's up that way.
So expired. Still dealing with a flash flood warning in northern Jackson County as well as Holmes County. That goes until 11:15, but you'll notice all of the counties in green, still highlighting flood warnings across the area. Thankfully, Fred now out of the Panhandle and into southern Alabama. It is still a tropical storm at this point in time. And just to reiterate, it came in as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, so that's only a few miles per hour off of a hurricane. And it did make landfall Cape San Blas about 2:15.
We have a special guest, Nick Underwood.
I'm an aerospace engineer for NOAA's Aircraft Operations Center, which you know us better as the NOAA Hurricane Hunters. My job on the aircraft is to link those instruments up with our data systems on board and then actually load them into the chute that we have, and then to flip the switch and fire them off the aircraft.
Right where I was just talking about, where that rotation, that looks like would be confirmed. Does look like a tornado to the south of Bayou George based off of our TDS here. So tornado debris detection, there could be a tornado right there just to the south of Bayou George that would have just crossed over 231 to the south of Bayou George, moving off to the east. Not seeing anything in that area of rotation, but certainly right there where you see that spike in yellow, where we're seeing this couplet, that could be a tornado right there. So there's
ELSA actually doing us some favors, unfortunately. Unfortunate for the rest of the area that has to deal with it, but for us actually pulling some of that moisture away and finally kicking out that trough. So this is what it looks like as far as the forecast models go. Notice majority of the rain in the center, off to the east. That storm rapidly weakens by 1 a.m. on Thursday, moving through the Carolinas as a remnant low or depression by that point in time. This is where it should be making landfall. So anywhere from the Crystal River back up over toward Horseshoe Beach, probably closer to Cedar Key and the Suwannee River. That's where it's likely going to be making landfall about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it should be into the early morning hours. And you will notice that in their forecast at landfall, they do have it projected to be a tropical storm.
Eventually end up being rated as maybe even a Category 1 hurricane. I just don't think that many of us are going to see that extreme of winds. Isolated areas, sure, could see some big-time wind gusts out of this, but for the most part, all of us are going to see rain, very heavy rain, and the possibility of isolated tornadoes.
Core of the storm working from Cape San Blas across Gulf County into Calhoun County and then up into Jackson County. That is right where the center of the storm did move. And obviously we saw some very strong wind gusts out of that as well. How about the rainfall totals? Anywhere from Vernon all the way to Southport, seeing anything from 6 to 10 inches of rain. So greater than 6 inches of rain up to 10, where you see the purple, back up to Lynn Haven to Bayou George, 5 inches.
This is really the issue when we're talking inches of rain that most people don't understand, and it is that rain adds up. It doesn't take 2 feet of rain to cause flooding. 4 inches of rain, that's what we're averaging down to here. So 4 inches of rain, 27,000 gallons per inch equals 108,000 gallons per acre. 108,000 gallons per acre times 640 acres. That's 69 million gallons per square mile. That's 1 inch of rain. We're not talking, though, that's 4 inches of rain per square mile. So per square mile, you've got 69 million gallons of water falling down. How about across the entirety of Bay County? Because obviously we had rain in more locations than just 1 square mile. Okay, so you got your 69 million gallons times roughly 1,500 square miles. That's equal to roughly 10 quadrillion gallons of water this morning. So that is why we saw the flooding.
Not a billion, not a trillion, quadrillion. Quadrillion. And if you're wondering what that follows, it's million, billion, trillion, then quadrillion.
How about the tropics? Well, Larry, all the way up to a Category 3, so still at that name. The next name system would be MINDY, and the only area of disturbance out there worth watching is the one in the Gulf of Mexico. They are giving it a 40% chance of developing. You can see the well-defined eye on Larry, 70 miles wide, the eye in Larry. So a very, very big storm there. For us, we're watching this very disorganized area of shower activity across the Gulf of Mexico. The center is actually right there, and you'll notice if you look at the cloud cover down here just how strong the shear is out of the west. It's moving off to the northeast at 21 miles an hour, max winds at 45 miles per hour, minimum pressure around 1,004 millibars. And again, by 1 a.m., this is going to be over Tallahassee. We'll be on the west side, on the dry side of the system, so we'll be clear of the rain. As it moves into the Atlantic, turns back into a depression, then a remnant low as we go on forward. So most of what you've had today, that's about the worst you're going to get from MINDY. Still do have some thunderstorms that are working ashore, mostly stable air over the Panhandle, the heaviest of rain from Mariana down to Panama City. But as you get into Walton and Okaloosa County, dry air already chipping away at the backside. And with that rotation moving over the Forgotten Coastline, it's likely that rain wraps up there pretty quickly. And you'll see the center right there. Nice little tight circulation. And again, winds right around the center could be up to 45, maybe some gusts up to 50 miles per hour, certainly possible. And that's going to be for our coastal areas of Gulf County as well as Franklin counties. Actually, thanks to the tropics here, this now given a 70% chance of developing. The biggest issue with this system is going to be heavy rain. Likely does become a tropical storm or depression. If it is named, the next name would be Nicholas. Of course, we just had Mindy here, but that name would be Nicholas. Here's the latest look on Nicholas as it is approaching the shoreline. Just a tropical storm here, southwest shear doing its job, keeping it from really developing. But it is moving off to the north-northeast at 12 miles an hour. It is close to hurricane status. Max winds at 65 miles per hour. Minimum pressure, though, only down to 1,001 millibars. As we go through the next couple of days, again, slow mover here. It's going to hug the coastline and eventually die on out as it moves into Louisiana. But
Chief Meteorologist Ross Whitley.
well, obviously, the talking point is Hurricane Ida and what we're expecting from that. We'll get to it in just a second, but we're going to start with what's going on out there now. 83 in Panama City, 89 in Bluntstown, 90 in Mariana. We've had a good bit of sunshine, but there are storms off to our east that are pressing in on the Atlantic sea breeze. That's thanks to strong easterlies. Notice them in the bend here. There are special marine warnings out for those. These will probably provide some gusty winds as well as maybe some frequent lightning. Along with the sea breeze, we've had a couple of showers break out along that back over toward Freeport, up toward Defuniak Springs as well. That's where those are progressing off to the north and east. But again, it's all about that shower and thunderstorm activity that you see there on the bend. This is the Atlantic sea breeze. Storms have really compiled right along that. Those are going to continue to progress off to the west as we go through the rest of tonight. So I expect that we will see some showers and thunderstorms. Notice the Futurecast doing a decent job here with holding that stuff together and seeing it press on through. Should make its way in by about 8, 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Through the day tomorrow, influences from the upper level low mostly gone, but from our overall pattern with the wind out of the east and Ida off to our south, this is where we're going to start to see the influences. Over the next several days, coastal areas are going to have a much greater chance of rain than our inland areas just by the dynamics of where the system are going and how that's all going to play out. So if you're near the coast, you're probably going to see a better chance of rain not only for your Saturday, but again on Sunday as that banding kind of flirts with the area. And again here, we're going to be so far away from the center of circulation, I really don't see us having a severe threat. Now, that might materialize. We really don't know until we get into that situation. So for our Sunday, possibly even Monday and Tuesday, you want to pay attention to the weather. I think the threat is low as of now, but certainly can materialize. So we definitely want to pay attention to that. Shower and thunderstorm activity works its way on through on Sunday. And again, that will be the outer banding. But notice by Monday, as that storm is really off to our west, not a whole lot going on here by our Futurecast. And I don't expect that we're going to see much other than that scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. And of course, surf. This is where Hurricane Ida is now. It's just past the Isle of Youth, getting ready to cross over Cuba. Will do so tonight. So I don't expect we're going to see much in the way of strengthening overnight tonight as this does progress across the western tip of Cuba. It's moving off to the northwest at 15 miles an hour. Max winds at 80 and minimum pressure all the way down to 985. That is much, much stronger than even the strongest hurricane models suggested at this point in time. So the National Hurricane Center has responded, now expecting to be a Category 4 by 1 o'clock on Sunday at 140 miles an hour. Remember, Category 5 is 157. So I wouldn't be surprised. This certainly has the environment to be able to push to that strength. So it is possible that this makes it all the way up there. Historically speaking, probably not, but just guessing by the environment that is in place, it is possible. So keep that in mind. As far as the area that should be moving, or at least I strongly suggest leaving, I have it shaded in the red here. So if you have family over that way, if you know somebody over that way, please advise them if they can do so to get out of the way of this storm. This is not one you want to ride out. This will be an extremely dangerous, powerful storm capable of doing anything that it wants to do to that area. So I mentioned this before Michael came ashore. This is a statement I don't like to say, but this will be altering to that coastline. It'll be altering to that area forever. This is probably going to be a historic storm for the state of Louisiana.
Those folks don't need it either.
No.
No, they don't need it. I don't have a feel for them, that's for sure.